I've never done whole parts.
I'm willing to take little tiny pieces.
There won't even be a scar.
I think I found the problem.
Oh, come on, you're the doctor.
Everyone, lights out and quiet.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Media Morgue, where movies come to be examined. I didn't come up with a funny name today.
No, neither did I.
And I'm joined by
I never have.
my fellow surgeons of cinema here.
I am Emma's insecure husband.
Yeah.
You are
The sun that just lights everything on fire.
great.
Yeah.
Family of pyros.
I am Emma. There it is.
You're
That's what I
Zach,
came
yeah.
up with.
Okay. You're just Zach today.
Yeah, we have a guest with us today. We have Dan's friend, Marissa.
Hi, I'm Marissa. I'm studying film at Marymount Manhattan College right now, and I graduate this year. In the off time, I work at a production studio, and I just really enjoy film.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. I think, Dan, this is actually, there was Ani as well, but it's like, I think almost each of us has brought on a guest now.
Yeah.
Have I?
We love our film heads.
Can't remember
We
if I
love
have,
our, 20 to 23-year-old
Yeah,
film heads.
this is our
on the
pocket.
show.
Waiting for you next, Zach. Find a.
I'd have to scrape the bottom of the barrel. I'm just not willing to do that, to be honest with you.
You and me, we're just like some guys. So
Yeah. We're a couple of dudes, couple of bros.
We just rock.
We're trying something a little different today, and I'm excited that it seems to be working out because three of us are together in person, but we have Zach joining us remotely. And if this works, then we can start to have more remote guests when the rest of us are in person. So root for us out there in Media Morgue listening land. But today we are taking a double dip into the mind of Pablo Larraín.
This is our Lorraine Fest.
Yeah,
Lorraine?
yes. Larraín.
Saying it wrong for
It's like
a fucking
Lorraine,
year.
but like
It's
Laurent.
Larraín.
I've said Laurent.
Yeah, I'm sure he's used to
It's
it being
funny
said weird.
because when I saw Emma, I was convinced it was a French movie because it was so horny.
Yeah.
And
Me
the
too,
horniest
me
movies
too.
are so French, and like the name Pablo Larraín, it's like, wait, Pablo's not but Laurent sounds so French.
Yeah,
right?
well, he's
like,
Chilean, and Chile and
Yeah.
France do have a lot of historical
That makes sense.
intermingling. So, we're reviewing two of his films. The most
all
recent.
about his twisted mind today.
yeah, this dude is fucking nuts.
He needs to be locked up.
He's crazy. We're talking Spencer, which those of you who are not familiar with is a psychodrama taking place over 3 days in the Royal House, Windsor Palace, with Princess Diana herself. Rest in
More
peace.
of a The Shining successor than a biopic. Right?
Yeah, and
so
we'll talk about that. And then we're bringing up his 2019 also psychosexual
Pablo's
drama.
been busy.
Emma, yeah.
Did everybody know that this was by the same person except for me? That's what I'm
Zach, when did you figure it out?
incredible. Right now, as you just
Oh,
said.
really? This is our Pablo Larraín Fest, man.
I'm really happy to be
I will
here.
say they are very different.
Extremely. But that's the mark of like a great storyteller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you have so much work that's like a body of work that's aesthetically so varied and communicates stories in such a different way. I mean, Emma is such like. It shows you everything, right?
Yeah.
And Spencer is extremely psychological. Our main character is like stuck in her head, whereas
Yeah.
Emma is very like outwardly, wielding her sexuality like a weapon, and just the way those two protagonists are such polar opposites, but they still kind of have that through line of being like quietly brilliant and very sympathetic, I guess.
Yeah. It's something that I'm interested to unpack with y'all as we move forward. But of course, as is tradition, before the reviews, we have the news. I guess the big y'all want to do Oscars first, or you want to do?
Sure. Yeah. Where should we? I guess because we're talking about Spencer, we should say it only has one nom, and it will not win, unfortunately,
Best Actress.
because Kristen Stewart shit on the Academy recently.
Oh, she
she
did.
did.
She was very, very mean. Do you remember how they snubbed Adam Sandler because he was like, if they don't nominate me, I'm gonna make the worst movie they've ever seen.
I was why would you say that?
In the notes from that year, like their notes and like their emails back and forth, like the Academy members that get leaked, and they were like, he's being such a pretentious asshole. We don't owe him anything. So like it was like an active like slight against Sandler for like what he said on that podcast. cast.
Though he did give the performance of his life.
It's amazing. I mean, Uncut Gems is we love that on the show. I
It's a
think
good
all
movie.
of us do. Kristen Stewart she said something along the lines of the Oscars don't matter. I mean, we should like. I forget exactly but it was along the lines of the Oscars don't matter.
Yeah.
And she said if they nominate me, I will not show up.
Oh.
I don't care. Which is badass and cool, and I support that. I think she's so cool for it. But how can you resist going to the Oscars, right?
Number one, but also what's interesting about that is that she would present herself as such a maverick when also she's playing like the royal troublemaker,
Yeah.
right? Like Diana
Right.
herself would have been like, I'm not going to show up to the Academy Award or whatever
She's like a
stuffy
bad
thing
girl
that
in it.
she.
She's always wearing vintage punk band T-shirts and leather jackets on SNL and shit.
It's just
she's fucking
interesting
cool.
because she chose to work with Pablo Larraín, and it's like when Jackie came out in 2014, 15,
Something
I think.
like that.
She won the Oscar. Natalie Portman won the
Yeah.
Oscar for that. So she kind of had to know she was on the road to at least being nominated.
Mm.
Do you think it's strange then that he got snubbed? Because I would absolutely have nominated him for that. Like,
I do think it's strange.
I thought he had some goodwill with the Academy.
Yeah, me
because of
too,
Jackie
just-
and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very
Yeah.
weird.
Did you ever
Lots
get to
of
see
stuff.
Jackie, Zach?
I sure didn't, but I have the image of the poster and the trailers in my mind, so I'm right here with you guys.
I remember watching it exactly one time, and I think I felt similarly. I mean, I felt more arrested with Spencer than I did with Jackie,
Sure.
and
I think
we'll
both of
talk
these
about
movies
it.
are a lot better. I think both of
Yeah,
these-
but I remember like the draw of it was look how impressive this performance is, and Natalie was like so like pitch perfect
Word
Yeah.
for word.
with the Jackie
clip for clip.
Yeah.
Even like you could watch a side by side of like the recordings they did of
Yeah.
her touring the White House when she redid the White House.
Yeah.
It was exact.
Yeah. So, in other, well, not in other
should we
news,
talk about
but outside of
snubs?
the, well, I was going to say that outside of Spencer, the film that seems to be attracting the most attention here is Power of the Dog,
Very good.
Love
with
that
12
It was
nominations.
very
Love that
good.
movie.
I didn't get to see it.
think-
Oh, I
And
spoiled it in the group chat. Did you really not see it?
I didn't even notice that you spoiled it. So,
I think Kirsten Dunst could.
Oh, well, you did.
I want Kirsten Dunst to win.
Me too!
For best supporting. For
Yes,
best,
yes.
just like regular actress, it should be Kristen Stewart, in my opinion. But she's she's amazing in that.
Yeah.
She really, really sells that part. That's her best role since Melancholia.
and she's working with her husband, Jesse Plemons.
yeah.
So good for them. And then right behind it is Dune with a total of 10 nominations, none of which being Best Director. Denis Villeneuve
Yeah,
got
they snubbed Denis.
That's crazy.
and that's what I define
That was
as
a very
snub, right?
involved movie.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, this is like I think we talked about this when we did our actual Oscars episode, but sometimes people throw the word snub around, kind of like
Yeah,
just just to mean like the person that I wanted to get recognized
I
didn't
think
get
we all
recognized.
knew
Yeah.
that like Titan would. I mean,
Oh,
no
yeah,
one
for
was-
sure,
They're
for
too,
sure.
They're not gonna give that movie its due.
But like this actually feels like a snub because if you are nominating the film for every other award, technical and artistic, then that means that the direction is sound.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like what happened with Selma. I mean, it wasn't that movie nominated in a lot of
Yeah.
categories except for Best Director.
Yeah, let me check that out
that what
actually. I typed in Ava DuVernay, but I meant to type in Selma Oscars.
Or maybe Selma was snubbed completely. I think it got like
the only thing that it, I mean,
soundtrack
it was
nod?
nominated for Best Picture.
Okay, there you go. But she was not nominated.
Yeah.
So this is like a similar case. Was Dune nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah.
Okay. And Drive My Car, which I've not
Yeah.
seen.
I need to
but
see
it's
that.
very cool
Drive
that they
My Car was
nominated
cool.
that.
Was there for you, Marissa? Were there any nominations that you felt particularly excited about, or anything that anyone that you're pulling for? Anything that you're pulling for?
I am pulling for Andrew Garfield in Tick Tick Boom.
Oh, okay.
I am pulling for that so much.
Yeah.
I think he did a
Great.
phenomenal
Yeah.
job. Rent's one of my
Definitely.
favorite musicals of all time. Jonathan Larson is one of my favorites of all time, and I think he really did such a good job with
Yeah.
that role.
I would love for him to win that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I'm sad about Nicolas Cage, man. Pig is a really great movie.
Oh yeah.
I heard about that one.
So good. It's so good.
He's really great in it too.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see Tick Tick. I
Oh,
feel like
really?
yeah. I didn't get to it.
It's great, man.
You enjoyed it?
I did, yeah. I mean, musical movies for me usually don't hit. I don't know. There's just some, especially just seeing him on like your regular TV. But I think Andrew Garfield was amazing. Like I was so genuinely impressed with his performance and his singing voice. Like I didn't know that he could sing. Like
apparently he really worked at it. Like he went to a trainer and it wasn't a natural thing for him to sing.
So I guess Lin-Manuel and Andrew, they had the same like physical therapist, and awesome. One day Lin asked the physical therapist, "Can Andrew sing?" And he was like, "Yeah, he can sing." Mm-hmm. And then he like went to the next appointment and he was like, "You gotta learn how to sing, dude." Like,
Lin-Manuel putting his boy on. He directed that or produced it?
Yeah, it was his directorial debut.
He directed it.
That's
Didn't
right.
know that. That's
yeah,
crazy.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been a big year for Andrew in general, especially after No Way Home. You know, he's seen a bit of a popular resurgence, and people are like bring back
and The Eyes
ASM.
of Tammy Faye.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, but
yeah.
Did that get nominated for?
Jessica Chastain got nominated for Best Actress.
Okay, cool.
There you go. There you go.
And another Spielberg nom, snooze button. Don't care.
No,
care about West Side Story is pretty good.
West Side Story?
So,
yeah, Ariana DeBose. That's great. For the first time ever, 2 openly queer people are nominated for
pretty cool.
best. Not best.
Who's the other one?
Supporting. Ariana DeBose and Kristen Stewart.
Okay, cool.
Kristen. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duh. How could I forget? I was very happy about Anjanou Ellis, even though I didn't get to see King Richard. She's been working in the industry for a long time, and it's good to see her recognized like that. She's sort of like the same generation as like Regina King, who also went through a tragedy recently, lost her son to suicide.
Fuck yeah, I heard about that.
Crazy, yeah. Anyway, not to bring this down.
Was there some shit with Lady Gaga? Was she salty about it? About getting snubbed?
Oh yeah,
I heard that like she was salty.
House of Gucci got like ignored, didn't it?
I mean, as it should.
It was probably the longest movie of my life, and not in a good way.
But there was like hair and makeup, which I guess is like a given.
Oh.
right?
Yeah, she posted on her Instagram today, like...
You married the real
she was
firecracker.
She's not good in that movie.
No.
Like, sorry.
Poor Italian accent.
They're not speaking Italian.
I know, that was the problem. I was like,
English.
I just wish you would speak Italian at this point.
That would be hard, though.
I know.
Yeah, it would take effort. It would require effort, and we don't want to do that. Any more Oscar stuff, or should we move to trailer talk?
You want to do Lightyear first?
Yeah, let's talk Lightyear. Zach, you saw this and knew immediately you were going to bring it on the show.
Yeah, and not even really like out of pure excitement, more just like I understood that my destiny was to talk about Lightyear today. I mean, you know, they played Starman again, which is do it. You know, I was effective the first time, so why not?
Lots of Bowie in trailers lately.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that works, right? But, you know, Chris Evans he's doing the thing, you know.
I will say, Zach, we were talking about voice work before Marissa and Dan got here, and I find myself, I mean, he's not like, it's not transformative, you can tell it's him, but he is putting in effort to not sound exactly like himself. He sounds a little bit like Tim Allen, like a younger Tim Allen, which is cool, and he's affecting his voice in a way. I remember, you know, even when he was doing Captain America, like he was always trying to speak from a lower register than he did for like Johnny Storm. So this feels in a way like a natural progression for him. This interest in vocal work, and we get a little bit of a look at Zurg in this, which is cool.
That's exciting to me. I do love Zurg. I love my action figure of Zurg. I can't wait to dig him out of a box and hold him while I watch the movie in the theater while wearing a Buzz Lightyear costume.
I was at a friend's house one time when I was a kid, and I don't remember what happened. Like I couldn't find anybody. Like my friend was like missing, so I went to some like random apartment building and like knocked on the door, and some lady answered, and I was like, have you seen my friend, like whatever, and the strangest thing happened. She didn't speak English, but what she did was she closed the door, went to the back of the apartment and grabbed a Buzz Lightyear toy and like came to the front and like opened the door. I could just like see her eye, and she just handed it to me, and I was like, okay, and I took it. I just like had this Buzz Lightyear toy, and she closed the door in my face, and I still didn't know where my friend was, and I was still like lost in this neighborhood I didn't know.
But you had a Buzz Lightyear toy.
So yeah, no, exactly. I still have that like in a box somewhere, like you said. So we'll bring our
take him out.
Toys to the
Maybe she knew that Buzz would lead you to your friend.
It was it's the most surreal childhood memory I have. It was so surreal. This is a quick non sequitur. Wasn't Tim Allen like mad about this? half of this show is me being like, did this happen? Did this
Yeah, but that's
Or am I
like
making stuff
everyone.
up?
They're like, what's with the backstory
Yeah.
for Buzz? Like, it's
Well, just because they didn't bring it back.
Because they didn't bring it back.
He's like right wing and stuff. And
Yeah.
trying to separate themselves.
I think that's part of it, but also, I mean, this is supposed to be a younger Buzz, so why would you bring back 70-year-old Tim Allen?
But he's also not the action figure. He's like the real guy. So
Right.
it's
Real
like
deal.
And this is also my question, because people in the YouTube comments are like, can't wait for the Woody prequel now, but was Woody supposed to be based off of a
I would
real
like that more, to be honest.
cowboy?
No,
I
was
thought
he
he was
just-
just supposed to be like a cowboy toy, like a,
yeah, I don't think he had lore behind him.
Yeah. He's just a cowboy.
I will say, just on the note of animated films, I feel like these days, and I don't know what exactly it is, it could just be house styles, but like, I watched Encanto and felt nothing, but anytime I watch something from Pixar, it hits in some way. Like Disney, when they're just doing their own Disney stuff, I feel like it's just always kind of like a new coat of paint over the same story.
Right.
And I think that's a lot to
Yeah.
do with that's like one section of a million things that Disney's trying to do,
Right.
whereas Pixar is just one thing.
Yeah.
So they like can spend years and years on like one film and make it as perfect as they can, whereas they're like literally shooting out like Raya and the Dragon, Encanto,
Yeah.
Coco.
Yeah.
It's like a never
And I did
ending-
want to see Raya because that looked really cool. I liked,
Yeah.
the cultural aspect of it, being from the Philippines and using martial
think
arts.
I'm the slightest bit fatigued by that homogenized animation style. That
Sure.
We're seeing I mean, you can't tell visually. You can't really tell Pixar apart from like just Disney.
No, not at
animated
all
movies.
anymore.
Like that's why like Into the Spider-Verse is so exciting. But then like Sony copyrighted that style, so no one
Yeah.
else can use it. It's like there's so few really interesting things going on with mainstream
Yeah.
like westernized animation.
That's also part of why Brad Bird is so interesting, because like when I went back and watched The Iron Giant a few months ago, seeing his art style before it was like computer generated was so cool to me. And then that's exactly, he has this like Norman Rockwell kind of like,
Yeah.
he's very interested in like the, middle 1950s, 1960s aesthetic. And he just transplanted that into computer generated animation, and it worked really well. But yeah, everything else is kind of the same, like even with Encanto, which, I know a lot of people were able to relate to it for how it attempts to talk about family dynamics, specifically Latin family dynamics and all that. But
for sure.
when I was watching, I was like, this looks like Moana.
Yeah.
And maybe like the way that they animate the fabric is very impressive, the fabrics on the dresses and everything, but it's like, yeah, just kind of the way that it looks visually is pretty homogenous, like you said. So
A little boring.
a little bit, but hey, we're also old. We're 24.
Yeah.
They're not-
It's not for us.
You're buzz.
not
You're
for
like,
us.
Buzz.
I might see Lightyear, but I like the Disney stuff. That's what I'm saying, because I remember watching
Some bars
Coco.
at the Alamo,
Yeah.
see that.
Coco obliterated me, and I was
Coco's
not
great,
expecting
yeah.
it.
That's what my
Really good.
friend said. I haven't seen Coco yet.
Yeah.
Great. I watched that with my nephew, and he just likes the colors. And stuff. But I think that's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, so time. When does Lightyear come out?
Me.
You know what? I don't know. I'm not
Thanks,
gonna lie to
Zach.
you guys.
Thanks.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't
You
mind
know what? I don't actually know
How about
anything,
this?
So.
I don't know.
Other trailers.
Texas
TCM.
Chainsaw Massacre, man. Yeah, this is the 9th installment in the series. I mean, Leatherface pokes his head around the corner every 7 years now. So
Are you a
Yeah,
TCM
he's
fan?
back.
Or her?
I am.
Okay.
you love the
Somewhat.
original, right?
Yes.
One of the
yes.
most important movies ever made.
Yeah, one of the best
outlaw
slashers.
filmmaking, literally outlaw filmmaking.
Yeah.
I've always said this about. I mean, you can say the same for any influential horror movie that has like a dozen sequels. It's kind of a separate entity from that stuff. But once TCM movies started having big budgets and they were no longer this little outlaw piece of filmmaking by these students who didn't want to go to Vietnam, so they just decided to make a movie that was, about kind of an allegory for youths entering an area that they were unfamiliar with and being killed, and it's also about its commentary on the meat industry, and it's such a raw, perfect horror film. It is so scary.
Yeah.
The performances are insanely strong, and people don't really talk about that because kind of the merits of the filmmaking outweigh that, but the performances in that movie are nothing to sleep on. People don't really care about the sequels. I always welcome a new TCM with open arms. I mean, I binged them all recently with my friend Caleb because they were all on what's that fucking thing? Peacock. They're all on
okay.
Peacock. So we were watching them all, and like TCM 3D is still ridiculous with Alexandra Daddario and who's that rapper that's in it? So Trey Songz is in it.
Oh, Jesus.
my God.
It's a very silly movie, and then like the fourth one has Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, and that's the worst one.
Oh, thank God.
In that one, the twist is that Leatherface and his family are working for the Illuminati.
Oh.
So
That's what you want.
these movies jump the shark all the time. This one seems like it's getting back to basics. They all retcon everything, so each new TCM is just a sequel to the first one. That's what they did
Classic.
with 3D. They were like, forget everything you
Yeah.
thought you knew.
I just love to see how they're gonna bring it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and now Leatherface is 80 years old.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who fucking knows?
It's like Halloween. It's
Maybe
like,
it's his
how the
son.
fuck is this guy still alive?
Maybe he had a son and that guy's well okay. They're trying to do the Halloween thing, like you said, like they like bringing back the final girl from that movie. They're doing the same thing here, except it's the actress from Mandy, because Marilyn Burns died the same year as Gunnar Hansen.
Oh, okay.
Kind of ironically and hauntingly enough. So it's just like some lady
Yeah.
playing Sally Hardesty. I mean, that's not really the same thing as like getting Jamie Lee back.
Is
in
getting,
the-
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and I don't know. Waiting, like, it's already a stretch that like Jamie Lee would be traumatized for 40 years waiting for Michael to come back. But in this one, Sally Hardesty waited 50 years. She couldn't
Right.
just go back out to that part of Texas and hunt him down a long time ago. Like,
If that's what she
waited
wanted to do.
for-
Or move so far away that, like,
it's so weird.
because Leatherface
Yeah.
doesn't seem like the type to really
It's so weird.
go after
to
people.
cross
No.
country.
Yeah. No, he's a Texas boy.
Yeah.
Southern boys they're different. But
Built different.
the final part of that trailer, listen,
yeah.
it's lowbrow.
yeah.
It's not very clever humor, but I definitely laughed. It's really funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it
Leatherface.
the getting canceled in the
Yeah.
bus?
Yeah, do anything you'll get canceled. They're all on like IG Live or whatever, and he chainsaws that bus full of people. That's so cool. I'm so looking forward to seeing that. I hate that this is a Netflix exclusive.
Oh, it's coming in Netflix.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
just
didn't
a
know
Netflix
that.
thing. I wish it was in fucking theaters. I want to get drunk at the Alamo and see
Of
it.
course, of course.
Yes.
I'm
Throw
very sad
popcorn
about
at the
that.
screen and
But
scream.
I know.
this is actually, it's weird. This is like a big year for TCM. There's a video game coming out later on.
Oh, yes.
And there's also a movie based on Gunnar Hansen's book about the actual making of Texas Chainsaw. And the stories in there are crazy, and they're adapting that to a feature film. So
Oh.
it's about the making of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You think like The Disaster Artist, but it's not going to be like a comedy. Like there's
Got it.
crazy stories about the making of that movie. People were getting injured left and right, quitting. That dinner scene took 2 months to film, and they're under these crazy like hot lights. Like the meat is like smoking in that
You
scene.
told me
can
about
see
that.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And the actors are wearing the same sweaty clothes
Yeah.
every single day for 2 months to avoid continuity errors.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Like Gunnar Hansen always talked about it like it was just like a summer job because his main thing was writing and poetry and stuff. But he was like a superstar at like horror movie conventions. Like,
Yeah.
The line to meet Gunnar Hansen was always like really long, and then when he finally published that book, I mean, it was obviously his best seller.
Got a dope name, too.
Gunnar Hansen.
Yeah.
Gunnar.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Gunner. Before we move on, you want to talk about GTA, my man?
Yeah, dude. Fucking Grand Theft Auto 5 came out when we were babies.
Yeah, true.
2013. Where were you in 2013? What were you doing?
I was 13 years old.
I was sucking my thumb.
Yeah. Quite literally, still, yeah.
I was vomiting in kindergarten.
You were born in 2000?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
Shouldn't even be on this show.
I know.
That's
You
ridiculous.
see R-rated movies?
Yeah.
I can't do the math.
Yeah, no.
I don't
Forget
know
it.
the math.
At least you'll always remember how old you are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I have to subtract 2 in my head, from whatever
We were
year it is.
babies.
Yeah, we
so
were.
Grand Theft Auto 5, I'll never forget the like hype around that game. That was crazy.
Yeah.
It was all anyone was talking about for like weeks after it came. It just
no,
like
my brother just like begged
Yeah.
my mom
Yeah,
every
yeah,
day,
yeah.
like, please let me
and
get
the,
it.
and the hallways at school was all anyone ever. Well, okay, I grew up in a very Grand Theft Auto and like Rockstar Games heavy household. My brothers
okay.
were crazy about that shit. My earliest gaming memories are like Super Mario World and then going into the next room and playing Vice City. That game had such a slamming soundtrack, dude. Come on, feel the noise. Girls rock the boys. You get wow, wow, wow. We're gonna cut that. It's so embarrassing.
No, wait, that was actually pretty good.
That was
That was
fantastic.
The hair metal soundtrack in that game, all the 80s shit, I mean like Hall & Oates and stuff.
Yeah.
You're out of touch, I'm out of time. You know the chorus, come on.
I don't.
And I'm out of my head when you're not around. The best chorus of all time. But I grew up on that shit.
Yeah.
So and like them playing Red Dead Revolver, the very first Red Dead game, and then like Manhunt, which is so disturbing. Even to this day, Manhunt is creepy. I played that recently, like choking people out with like plastic bags and stuff.
Yeah.
Shivving people with
God.
sharpened toothbrushes and shit. That game I think predated Saw. It has like the same kind of aesthetic.
I was
like,
actually
dingy industrial locations.
This is a non sequitur for me. There's this new YouTuber I just found out about. Well, he's not new, but I just newly found out about him. Kadigarus is what he calls himself.
Don't know.
British dude. He does gaming videos, and he made a video about banned games.
Yeah.
And I think
it was banned. It was banned for sure.
Yeah.
It was banned for
Craziness.
That game is disgusting. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy... Like, I hate to be like a pearl-clutching, like, soccer...
No, but
like,
there's some stuff that's...
It came out in, like, what, 2002?
Yeah,
and it's like... Oh my god, you're fucking like it's really gory. First of all, it reminds me of Puppet Combo. Mm-hmm. They do these really, I mean, they
the lo-fi horror games. Yeah,
I know Zach Puppet Combo.
Yeah,
Manhunt basically
invented.
Manhunt basically invented that aesthetic.
Yeah,
it's just creepy and dingy and weird. And they never did anything like disturbing like that ever again because obviously now Rockstar games take 10 years to make, and so many.
But they
teams
only
of
take
people.
2 weeks to plow through. Like
Red Dead took me a while.
GTA, I did that in 2 weeks.
Which one? 5?
5.
Really? Okay.
Finished the whole storyline in 2 weeks.
It's a pretty great storyline though.
I know.
5 is a lot of like immediacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
a dense game, but like each mission is like, oh shit, I have to see what happens next.
Yeah.
It was really inspired by like Breaking Bad and like the elevated like TV of its era. My favorite GTA protagonist is still Nico from 4.
Oh my god.
Cousin, or for the first. You and me.
That's where that came
little
from.
Inside joke, yes. Hey cousin, let's go bowling. Yeah, I love GTA 4. My favorite of all time is probably still Vice City, but
6 is set to be like.
So many sources have reported on this that's basically confirmed.
Yeah.
I mean, and this has been going on for like 2 years. People have been saying this. It's just been leaking and shit. It's supposed to be that there's 5 major cities with a whole stretch of middle America in between. Suburban areas, mountain ranges, New Mexico area, and I think they're bringing back Vice City, which is Miami, and Liberty City, which is New York, from like all the other games, and then just like a huge stretch of like open like country, like bordering all of this shit. And in addition to that, each location changes over the course of 5 decades. So the game starts in the 70s, goes through the 80s, 90s, early 2000s to now, and all of those like at the beginning of the game, you're going to be in like a gritty 70s New York, right? With
like a taxi driver in New York.
Yeah, exactly. Like prostitutes on the street and people just like stabbing each other in the neck and stuff, just like around every corner.
Yeah, like porn stores everywhere.
Yeah, porn theater. I would love it if you could like go to like a 70s like porn theater in game, and they have like their own version of like Deep Throat playing or like
God.
Debbie Does Dallas. You know, in like the big lights.
They probably
so
will.
Cool. This is probably going to be the biggest game ever made.
It sounds a little bit like, I mean, just in terms of that decade hopping thing, it reminds me of Mafia a little bit.
Was that game a set decade, or did it jump around in decades?
Different one. I think the third one, which they just released a definitive edition of, I think it hopped a few times.
The game's a lot of fun.
And I watched the gameplay of it, but yeah, I mean, it's we were joking that it's pretty much going to take an entire console just to play GTA 6 if all of these specs are to be believed.
The PS5 storage right now is like 100 gigs or something. I mean, it's so that they can release, extra storage disks.
I remember though, and I don't know if like this is how y'all feel about this as mutual PS4 owners, but the transition going from the 3 to the 4 and like realizing, well, yeah, but I just mean in terms of like realizing that I couldn't just pop in a disc and play the game. I had to wait for it to download. I was like, what is that? And it took me so long to get used to it.
It's so weird.
And now it's normal. But
LA Noire, another Rockstar game, took 2 discs worth of skate. Like when you first get the game, you got to load the first disc, and then it scans all that, downloads all that, and then it's like insert disc 2, and then it downloads
the data
all
disc,
disc
right?
2. Cause these
the data disc.
Games are too big for discs now, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, when I got Red Dead 2, I put the data disc in and it downloaded, and then I didn't understand for like an hour and a half why I couldn't start playing the game because I didn't realize that there was a second disc. I was like, I have to fucking call GameStop and ask them like if I got fucked over with this disc.
It's these games are too fucking big, man. I mean, Red Dead 2 already is gigantic.
Yeah.
It's so fucking big.
It's ridiculous.
Zach, I know you got it recently. How far in are you in Red Dead 2?
I literally have like touched it like one time, and because I've been busy, but I have been meaning to go back. It's overwhelmingly big. It's beautiful.
It's so
though. I love
fucking
it.
big, man.
And you don't unlock fast travel until you beat the story.
Yeah.
So it's like
you're riding around.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's immersive, and then people on the side of the road are going to rob you and trick you and stuff. I mean, it's.
But that's also how you run into the clan members in the swamp that you can beat up and feed to alligators. So.
And swindlers in their
it's all
version
worth
of New Orleans, which is Saint Denis, who trick you and like lure you into alleys and beat you and take all your money.
Yeah.
There's that incest couple. Do you remember that in the mountains? You come across that incest couple?
Oh, I've seen.
If you drink their tea, it's tea, right?
I think
they offer you a tea,
and
and they're
then
like
you
flirting with
pass
each
out.
other.
Yeah.
Like, this is weird, but like I need to crash because I need the night cycle to like pass or whatever. But then you wake up in like a pit.
Yeah.
You wake up in like a shallow
And
grave
they've
they
taken
dug
your-
for you, and they
yeah.
take all your shit. Yeah. You can go back there and kill them too, but they lock up, and you need to break. Okay, we're getting we're getting off topic. Rockstar is doing it unlike anyone else, man.
Yeah.
But most of the OG Rockstar founders are gone. I mean, Dan and Sam Houser both left the company after Red Dead 2. That was their. So as far as like the original Rockstar creators go, the original masterminds, that was their swan song. And now GTA 6 is all the new blood,
A new
at
generation.
Rockstar, the new writers and stuff, and they're gonna milk that for 20 years.
Yeah.
GTA 5 has been PS3, PS4, and now PS5. Each has been. Oh my god! I bought that game so many fucking times.
Yeah.
No, me too. Me too.
GTA so many times. GTA 5 so many times.
Yeah.
So 6 is. I doubt they're gonna make another one after 6. What I'm thinking is it's just gonna be called Grand Theft Auto. And
The sixth one?
Yeah, and they're never gonna make another one because how do you make a game like bigger? I mean, maybe in another 20 years. But anyways, that's our news segment.
Yes, indeed it is a longer one today, but one that was necessary to talk
Half-hour
about all
news
this
segment.
stuff.
How about that?
We'll take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Spencer. So don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you.
All right, everybody, welcome back from the break. We are, as we said up top, and again at the bottom of that last segment, we're talking about Spencer from 2021, directed by Pablo Larraín, written by Stephen Knight, cinematography by Claire Mathon, edited by Sebastian Sepulveda, and with music by
Johnny Greenwood,
the boy.
my fucking favorite guy, my favorite composer right now. He's killing.
He's
it.
incredible.
Radiohead is killing it.
Yeah.
He's doing he did Licorice Pizza. Spencer,
Yeah.
obviously. There was another big one from this year. He did Power of the Dog.
Oh,
Those are all 3 Oscar nominations.
he's having a good year.
So
A very good year.
Everyone from Radiohead is so successful now. It's awesome. They're all tackling their own creative ventures. Tom York has like a new album. We're getting off track, but I'm very proud of
I
Johnny
was,
Greenwood.
and I was very impressed with the score in this movie. It was one of my favorite aspects of it. So
cut this, but man, I could put you up in some good Radiohead.
please do, man.
With-
Make me a playlist.
There's like a lot of like
Only one I know is Creep, so
like free.
I'm a normie. Yeah.
It makes everyone not want to listen to the rest of it because that's such like an obnoxious like early 2000s. like,
What, Creep?
Yeah, Creep.
I like Creep.
well, okay, it's
All right,
it's not
all right.
it's not in the top 20 Radiohead songs. I'll say that.
All right.
You should listen to Kid A. That's the album I think you would like the best.
Got it.
There's a lot of like free jazz in that album. It's very cool.
Will do. Yeah. This film, as we said, it takes a look. It's described up top as a fable based on a true tragedy. Pablo Larraín takes some creative liberties with a weekend that Diana might have spent in 1991 with her family, her in-laws, in Christmas. Essentially, it's a movie about being stuck with your in-laws for the holiday that you don't like.
Yeah.
And
Classic.
it details some of her personal, emotional, and psychological issues in the wake of the revelation of her husband's affair with Camilla, whatever her name is, and her attempts to free herself from this austere, oppressive environment. So,
I love what a middle finger this is to the royal family. Like they must hate this.
They did
probably
not
do.
take any prisoners
What happened?
in the movie.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Lorraine
it was.
didn't take
It
any
was like,
prisoners.
fuck
I don't know
you.
if any of them said anything about it.
I doubt it. I mean,
No.
and I think that's also like, I think that's part of why he wanted to make it more
Yeah,
fictional,
yeah.
because it's like, I don't have to be accurate to anything.
I would have had no interest in seeing this because there have been Princess Diana biopics. None of them are really remarkable.
And that's just like really popular right now, like the Diana stuff, especially with The Crown, and then that musical that came out.
I have not been really interested in royal family stuff.
But Danny, have you seen the Naomi Watts one that they made? I don't even know when it was made, but they...
I've seen it.
Yeah, she's Diana.
I haven't seen it, but
I don't know. I thought it was pretty boring.
It wasn't to the level of this one.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like I knew that there were biopics, but like no one talks about them.
Yeah.
So, well, biopics in the first place are kind of just boring.
They can be touch and go.
Especially when like the subject has something. Obviously, Diana wouldn't be able to have anything to do with it, but when there's like a subject that has like an influence on the making of their own biopic, it's always kind of dishonest.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's such a smart choice of Pablo Larraín to do like a historical fiction movie, because the Diana stuff is so popular right now, but he is known for like that biopic.
Well, continuing my point, that's why I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't cared about the royals ever, but then like Wes convinced me to see it. He was like, no, like they treat the royals like they're the foreboding abstractions from The Shining, like the demons of the Overlook Hotel. And that's so cool. That's such a great approach.
So I think sticking with you for a second, Marissa, since you are our guest, and you've already started to indicate a bit, but I'm curious what your initial impressions were when you saw this, and how it has worked on you since.
So I heard about it, and then I knew the trailer was coming out, and I watched the trailer. I wasn't super interested in seeing it. I was just like, here we go again, another Diana thing. Like, it's always this. And I'm not really the biggest fan of Kristen Stewart. I'm just not. I didn't really love Twilight. That was my girlfriend's gonna actually kill me.
That first one kind of slaps.
She is literally like in love with her, like in love with Twilight. But I've always thought she's had this like robotic type of acting. Sure. Even like people always do like the impressions of her, and but I did go see it like opening night, and I thought it was great. I thought maybe a little bit throughout, just touching on like her acting in particular, I think there were times where I did see those like little isms that she does, but she does like the good accent, and the hair and the makeup definitely really does help. Like the costumes are amazing, but I do think this is a standout for Kristen.
I think it becomes more fully realized her in that role as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
Like, in the beginning, it's like, this is just Kristen Stewart doing an impression.
Yeah.
But like maybe half an hour in, it's like, oh shit, like I don't see Kristen Stewart anymore.
Yeah.
Because Diana has so much going on. Like the writing for her, and it's written with a love for her. You know? It's not like this whole thing is just a scathing critique of the royal family.
Right.
Whole, like, Laurent seems to have a real reverence for Diana and
empathy for her. Yeah.
Her mythological standing in the cultural unconsciousness. She's this tragic figure.
Yeah, exactly. I watched a few interviews and tried to do a little research about his motivations behind that. I'll get into a little later. But Zach, I know you didn't care for it very much.
Yeah, I was really not a fan. I think that the movie definitely has its moments, and I think it is shot beautifully. I really like Kristen Stewart's acting took me out sometimes. Again, I think there are some moments that she really kills. Like, I think she sells, like, just, like, this feeling of isolation and, suffocation, like, really well. Like, you can just see, like, her just, like, starting to shatter from the exactly. But I think there are other times where I'm like, it's just, like, the cadence of her voice, like, and maybe that's just how Diana always sounded, so that's what that was. But I think the rushed, like, hushed tone that she had throughout the movie, I think... sometimes I was just like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I'm losing, like, the words because I'm just hearing this, like, one line
white
reading.
noise.
Well, keep in mind, she's always talking to people she does not want to talk to. Like, half of her,
that's fair.
80% of her interactions in this are people fucking harassing her and trying to get a leash on her.
The other 20% are hallucinations.
Yeah.
Or her running down a hallway.
Her kids, there's some warmth, and then, when she's seen, like, Anne Boleyn.
Yeah,
Boleyn. Yeah.
Boleyn and the hallucinations and stuff.
Well, I think I want to pick up on that. I'm going to put a pin in it. I want to make sure I get to Dan's initial impressions as well. But I like the thing you said about whispering. Remind me to talk about
Yeah.
that if I forget. Go ahead,
I will.
Dan.
I
What were your
absolutely
impressions?
will.
The opening of this gave me chills
Mm.
because okay, as a whole, this was like the last thing I expected the movie to be. Like, I guess going in, I'm like, the one thing everyone knows is the death and the mystery it's
Right.
wrapped up in. So this is going to be heavy on that. I'm very happy that that was not even on the horizon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even. I guess it's foreshadowed.
Yes.
but it's not like. I feel like a lesser writer, and I'm sure a ton of them have done it, would just the whole time be foreshadowing a tragic death.
Yeah.
You know, and we know that going in, so you don't really need to even really mention it. Like, it shows a side to Diana that you wouldn't expect in a movie like this, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I found myself actually giving a shit about a royal, which is hard for me, and not something I expected. But, I mean, I didn't know this was shot on 16 and that ratio.
I know.
Oh my god, dude.
It's beautiful. Like,
the way the colors just slightly kind of leak
it
over
looks
one
like an
another.
old home video.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, the helicopter shot in the beginning, going down the driveway to the actual royal palace, and then the title Spencer being in the. Are you familiar with this fashion brand, Casablanca?
I don't think so. No.
They have very beautiful like ads. Like, if you watch their ads, they're the most gorgeous like fashion ads I've ever seen. But it's the same font. It's a very satisfying like font. When I saw Spencer in that big like beautiful font, just like taking up the big like helicopter shot.
Yeah,
very
and
symmetrical shot.
I think
going down
that shot was
driveway,
like a minute long too. Like
It's
it
so
was
beautiful.
like very, very like
I
intense.
love a director who just has a cinematic flourish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He just knows that like
They know exactly what they want.
it's not about being fast. It's
No.
about slow shots that put you in the world of that movie. It's about stillness where you feel like you're just experiencing something that takes time. You know,
Yeah.
You've
I think,
got
like-
patience with art, and it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I think the best films are ones that can tell story through screenplay as
Yeah.
well as visually.
Yeah.
Like,
Of course,
that's
yeah.
how you need to do
'Cause it is
it.
a visual medium.
I'm just fond of long, slow shots that like take their time and don't feel like a director is trying to hold your attention by
Cutting
all
through a bunch
these
of
cuts
stuff,
and all
yeah.
these set pieces and stuff. Like, when a director doesn't care about alienating people with slow attention spans, it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a reward.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I'm seeing a film.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a story play out in real time that's believable and immersive.
Yeah.
You know, this movie is very immersive.
Yeah.
Those
As
nightmare scenes, dude.
yeah,
But make your point.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, as far as my impressions, you know, coming into it and just after, yeah, similar, I think, to you, Marissa. You know, I heard about it and I knew immediately, and similar to you, Dan, I thought I knew that it was going to be like, you know, this tragedy, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
and it is sort of it for a while, and then it has a happy ending.
ends
Yeah.
beautifully.
Has a very
I love
happy
that
ending.
I love it.
But I was going into it thinking, okay, like this is gonna, you know, somehow or another. I knew immediately it was a very artsy film, so
Yeah.
it may not have like gone to the lengths of like showing the car crash.
Yeah,
but
I was
thought
waiting
there
for her
would
to get in the car.
Yeah, I thought there would be some sort of allusion to it or something.
Yeah. Are
But
you
that
happy
being
that wasn't in there?
I am. I'm glad that he chose not to go that way with it, and I'm also glad that like it's. Like I said, it's a very relatable premise at the end of the day for a lot of people who, you know, don't like to spend time with their in-laws or their family in general, right? So it's like if you can use that as the hook in, you don't really have to know about Diana or the royals because it's just about, you know, she doesn't like being here and no one here likes her either.
Yeah.
There is to your point, Zach, regarding her performance, I wonder if this was a general directorial note because, like, one of the things about the film that is constantly reinforced is this environment of surveillance, right? Even within the kitchen where Sean Harris works, they have that sign, keep quiet, keep noise to a minimum, they can hear you. You know, and everyone's always saying like everyone's listening to everything you say here. So I feel like that informs her performance probably because she is trying to like, you know, and some of it is just her voice, right? But like I think that's part of it. She's trying to always like keep herself measured and make sure that she's not being, you know.
To your point, it's always so satisfying, like when you see her on her own, like when she's just like, and this is like a documented thing. Diana used to go down to the pantry and sneak snacks in the middle of the night. When she goes down and she's in the fridge and she's eating like handfuls of cake. And stuff.
And that's
This is
because
so
she was
great.
struggling with an eating disorder at the time.
Yeah.
Like seeing her like away from them, and half of it is coping, but the other half is like this very normal, relatable woman, like breaking through in a way that could never be, documented for the news or for that whole circuit, the tabloids.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that. So one of the things that started to worry me about this movie, just because of my lack of familiarity with Diana, was like whether they were sensationalizing or embellishing her mental or illness or conditions, right? Because like obviously this is very psychological, and that whole Anne Boleyn thing, which I like the parallel that Larraín chose to use here, but I just wondered, like, was she really like this? Because it seems to place the issues more with her than with the environment that she was in at times.
I don't know. I think it's definitely that environment is bringing that out, because when we're introduced to her, she's very kind of charismatic and sweet, and she's just
the longer she's there, the worse it gets.
And in quotations, I'm lost, and she just seems very natural, and the longer she's there, it's like a bottle horror film. The longer you're,
and I think it's best that we see it from her perspective. Otherwise, it would be like, she's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
But it never feels like this bitch is just crazy. Like the whole time,
no, not at all.
You get that.
Yeah.
Like when she's having that like nervous breakdown, and her son is like, I think it's Harry. When he goes, Mom, you told me to tell you if you were being silly, okay? And you were being really silly right now. And she's in the closet. She just wants to be alone where no one can see her.
Yeah.
She just wants to be alone with her thoughts and process shit.
Yeah.
And it's. I don't think it's really portraying her as just a basket case.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It makes sense why she's acting the way she is. If I was in that situation, I'd probably be about the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Very valid. I wanted to pose that question to y'all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I see what you're saying, but it's like, I think also having the royals as this more abstract threat, like it kind of, I was like, I don't know, I feel like if someone was just looking at this slightly differently, it would kind of seem like she's on her own, like having these moments without, almost unprovoked. I definitely think that the threat is there, and especially as the movie goes on, you just see like them literally physically like stitching her curtains together. You know what I mean? Like, but there's just some time, like I didn't feel like it was a descent like from the very beginning. I didn't see like an arc from a charismatic, like carefree person to this person that feels like they have to get out. Like she was already in the throes of obvious misery because of her marriage. Like at this point, Charles was cheating on her.
Yeah.
So it's like you're thrown into a snapshot of her life, which is already shit. Mm-hmm. And it's like if you're not super familiar with, I think, the history of like what really happened, you can start to feel like maybe she is just like this. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I thought she was too disturbed.
Yeah, I will say I think that some of the stuff the movie does, and I appreciated this because exposition can be very, very tricky to deliver without being clunky. So to an extent, I appreciated this. But for example, they never name the mistress, right? So it is kind of relying on you to be like, these pearls, like it's the same ones that he bought for her, and it's always the pronoun game, so to speak. But we never, it's like we're supposed to. At first, I thought she meant the queen.
Right.
Because I thought it was like, the mother, the whole conflict between Elizabeth and Diana. But then I found, it's the mistress that he bought the same pearls for her. And then Anne Boleyn supports that later on by saying like, yeah, he got this necklace. My husband got this necklace with his picture in it. Same one that he gave to his mistress before they chopped my head off type of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I see your point too, Zach, because there's not a lot of moments where you see her interacting with the royal family. It is, I guess, Larraín's thesis is that it's like it is exactly their absence that is part of the problem, like because they don't even want to, because they ignore her, but yet they also want to control her at the same time. They don't want to be seen with her, and they don't want her to be seen by anybody else. They're trying to micromanage her. They can't let her have any bit of happiness. They steal Sally Hawkins away from her because
we gotta talk about that.
Oh my God, we do have to talk about that.
Next. But yeah, I mean, I like the Queen really only has like one
or two lines,
and it's an effective scene.
It's a great at the end.
But it's like
Laura's currency.
Yeah.
My question was though, is in that one scene, was I supposed to think Elizabeth was being like a shithead, because I was like, oh, that was kind of, I thought from my perspective, I was like, she was kind of chill with her, like she was like,
I think it's.
I don't know. You know.
I think the question is. I think their baseline for being nice is like so different. Like I think Elizabeth thought she was being nice, but like the fact that she said your currency, so chill out. Like,
isn't that just like a fact that you have to accept? I mean,
right.
She's been raised and has be. I mean, decades of like being royal and seeing your face like on clothes.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
True.
The fact that she told Diana that as something to comfort her is what should be off-putting to us as the audience. I think.
Yeah.
Because
is it to comfort her? Yeah. I think it's just like, this is the life.
No, yeah, it's like, this is what you signed up to do.
Right, get used to it type of thing. Yeah. Corgis, so many corgis.
Oh yeah,
The
best dogs in the whole world.
love seeing some corgis.
Great times.
Before we get to the Sally Hawkins thing, I just wanted to shout out Timothy Spall in this movie, man.
Yes.
Timothy Spall he's playing like just a composite character of someone that might exist at that time, Major Alistair or whatever. He's so like imposing without being outrightly threatening.
Is he made up?
His name? Is it the redhead?
No, it's the other guy, right?
I'm talking about the butler.
Yeah, you're talking about the guy that like follows
Peter
her
Pettigrew.
around.
Okay.
Peter
Yeah.
Pettigrew. Yeah.
Yes, Peter Pettigrew.
Is he a made up character?
He is.
Okay.
He is. Yeah. He's just on Wikipedia. Like he they don't have like the hyperlink under his
Got
name.
it.
Sally Hawkins, unfortunately, I think. The woman did exist, but the lesbian stuff is a fabrication.
I don't. We have to get into
Well,
that.
okay.
Like,
But I just wanted to say I love Timothy Spall in this. I love his character, specifically his like. It's just really cool. That sort of like taskmaster character who's like, I'm here to do one thing specifically, and I'm gonna get this job done whether you like it or not. And so it's this battle of wills between him and Diana.
He's playing mind games too.
He leaves that book on her. Yeah. And when he tells that, I love that scene. First of all, the scene where he confronts her in the pantry is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Just happy wielding Christmas. Happy Christmas. It's gone midnight. But just wielding his influence over her level of discomfort that he knows is there. Yeah. But then when he finds her on the steps, he's like, it's time to go to dinner. And he sits down with her to tell her this war story. And you think it's going to be a moment of maybe kindness.
Yeah.
But then she, he's like, something. It's like the whole wild horse analogy. And she's like, well, I hope that wild horse never got tamed. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right, you're not going to meet me at the middle. So I've been sent to get you into that kitchen. One way or another, you're going.
Yeah.
And it's just the environment of gaslighting. I mean, I think comparisons to The Shining are warranted. The cinematography invites it. Going down these long hallways.
And it's a bottle.
Following
it's
her.
A bottle movie.
Yeah.
Which is a subgenre that's famous for characters eventually going insane.
Yeah, losing their mind.
I love the pearls. That's one of my favorite things.
The nightmare with her.
Pearls.
Yeah.
Pearls for dessert.
And the
that's
way
what they
they're
call
all
it.
Peering at her, these kind of. I hate that I'm about to say this. These kind of Kubrickian shots, the Kubrick glare.
The Kubrick stare
through the nose,
the
eyebrows. The way they're all looking at her is it's so anxiety inducing.
Yeah,
and like the best way for a scene like that to be anxiety inducing.
Absolutely.
And obviously, the more she eats the pearls, it's like, okay, this is a nightmare. But at first, it's like, this is the scariest fucking movie I've seen in like a long time. This is
because it's already anxiety ridden, like that just scene, because she's having dinner with the royal family. Like if I was having dinner with the queen, I'd be shitting bricks. So like,
there's such specters too.
Yeah,
they're ghosts. They haunt the royal palace.
And even that final, even that final scene with Charles where he walks into the room and his mother is sitting there with all the dogs around. There's no words, but he already knows what they think about what just happened. Him getting basically, cucked by his own wife in front of a bunch of men with rifles coming out into the field and saying, "I'm not leaving till I have my sons with me." Yeah. So but let's dive into the Sally Hawkins character because.
So I did go see this movie with my girlfriend because Kristen Stewart fan, and she just turned to me because everything I say to her she thinks is true. So she was like, "Is that true?" And I was like, sure. I have absolutely no idea, but like I am like a Diana fan, so and I was like, I've never heard this before in my entire life. And like as a lesbian, I was like, oh my god, like of course I was like, thanks for throwing us that bone.
No, when I found out it was fake, I was like, I don't care. In my head,
it was
it's real.
a undisclosed maid that she had said that like they will not disclose her information, but she said she had this relationship with her, and I was like, okay, like you just kind of threw that in there.
It seems like a liberty, but
really like it.
It's a nice scene.
I'm gonna say it's also, I mean, seeing her face glow up like that, and seeing her laugh and be free. And
it's one of the only times that Kristen Stewart, that Diana in the movie feels warm, and by extension, Kristen Stewart does. I mean, Zach, I know you didn't like the candle scene, but I really enjoyed it. The candle scene with her sons when she's playing like the soldier improv thing she's doing, because even, I mean, maybe you could say that Kristen Stewart doesn't feel very maternal in that, but I think like it's an example of a mother doing her best in this environment that she hates to give her sons a moment of happiness. And I also think those two kids are great. But I mean, how did you feel about it?
I liked William. I think William is really cool. We've discussed this. Like, he had this little gesture at one point.
Yeah, that was the one who had her in the closet. William, the older one. Harry's the younger one. Okay,
But what I will say is, it just, like, for me, I just feel like Kristen Stewart has never had any fun in her life ever. And so whenever she has to portray that on film, it's simulated in a way where I'm like, my God, have you ever smiled, Jen? So, like, when she's with her kids, I'm like, I know that it's supposed to be under the circumstance of like constant surveillance. They're in this like little safe place, this hideout, like together, and they're trying to make like this special fantasy reality. But I just like, I wanted more like warmth. I think I think there is a way to have like this, like, you know, it's a shitty world that we're in right now, but to feel like, oh my God, this is really heartwarming, and it's going to be sad when they have to leave this. Like, this
is separate. Like, she's able to separate in her mind what's going on out there for the sake of her children.
Exactly. And I don't think Kristen Stewart really got me there. Like, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I needed a little more. I think the ending, just before Danny fucks my argument, I think the ending is like, is real. Like, I think like when they're singing together, like that's like, you know, it's beautiful. KFC. I think it's all there, you know, but like, I don't know. I just think that candle scene didn't hit the emotional like note that I needed from it, you know?
I'll say one thing about trauma. Trauma is it's complicated in that when you're in an abusive environment for such a long time and you can feel it changing you as a person, when you are with, say, friends again, and you are having fun and just enjoying yourself again, in a way it feels wrong, because you've been in an environment for so long that just feels like the walls are closing in, and when she has a moment with her kids, it really communicates for me that this person has been traumatized and they're trying to feign some sense of normalcy for their children, but it's fucking hard. Because trauma rewires your brain. This is a established thing, and me having that reading going into it is probably why that scene does work for me, and the performance as a whole, because she really conveys that aura of a traumatized person trying to just grasp and hold on to something normal for fleeting moments before she has to go back into the environment that she knows is just going to hurt her even more. So I think that scene with her kids, I mean, it does, like, Zach, I get what you're saying, man, that it seems like Kristen Stewart has never had fun in her life, but dude, it works for me. For my reading of the movie, it works for me. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, obviously, all this stuff is. I just have a different reading. Is all.
Yeah, and you bring different things to it. I mean, in a much reduced capacity, what you just said reminded me of situations where, like, I've been out hanging out with friends, and then I remember I have homework to do.
Yeah.
And you feel this like drop in your stomach, like, oh, like I'm having fun now, but there's responsibilities that are on me, or there's like, or there's this weird thing going on at home that I'm gonna have to go back to when I leave.
Did you ever know like a kid growing up who it was well known that at home like their dad hit them, or that they had an abusive family?
I think so. I mean, I think whispers and rumors.
A demeanor. It's all in micro expressions, I guess, but like you can see it on someone's face that, like, damn, I know you're gonna go home and like you're gonna get hit, you know?
Right.
Yeah, like it's the end of school and they don't even want to go. It's like so sad.
That's why they're trying to stay out for as long as they can, type of thing.
I don't know how much of it is an intentional portrayal of trauma. I don't know how much Kristen Stewart has talked about their performance and her kind of inspiration, but that being my reading that I went with, I think it's spectacular.
Yeah.
I think it really conveys that pretty well.
Well, I didn't get to listen to too much of her talking about the performance, but I did get to hear a little bit of Larraín talk about what he wanted to convey with this. He said that he believes that really it's about motherhood. He was, in making the movie, he felt closer to his own mother. He was inspired by that. He said that he was seeking, a combination of beauty, motherhood, magnetism, and mystery, and that it's like this mixture of directorial fantasy, but with the realism that the actor has to bring of this actual character, this figure who existed, and then putting those two together. I think, that's part of why, whether or not Kristen Stewart's performance hits for different people at different points, the movie is supporting her as an empathetic, sympathetic figure. And it wants you to feel for her and root for her in this environment that is destined to suffocate her. And in a way, even some of Stewart's idiosyncrasies with her acting, like that stuff works. It works
does
because
work.
she's in this environment that's trying to compress her. I mean, I think my favorite scene, at least where she's speaking, is that conversation between her and Charles across the pool table.
I was gonna bring that up.
First of all, the way that thing is shot.
Oh, it's so
No,
it's
I've
crazy.
seen
It's so
videos where they
gorgeous.
compare that to The Crown, where it's just sideways versus the long shot that they do in this movie, and I was just like, it's so intense.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play pool. I'm still
At all.
I'm guessing the way that the composition is. On his side, correct me if I'm wrong, because you watched it more recently than I did. On his side, like the shot reverse shot, when it's his POV, it's the cue ball, right? And the ball's lined up like she is the side of the table that would be getting scattered by the cue ball, and he represents the cue ball.
He would be spiking, exactly.
She's in control. He's in control.
The ball and
That's
starting the
fucking
game.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
And he's rolling around the little cue ball, the black cue ball, for the whole conversation. They're talking about pheasants and whatnot, and it's just like it's so. And we'll talk more about this in Emma, because we see more of these cinematographic and editing signatures from Larraín. But I too have a fondness for slow shots, specifically in conversation scenes. I like to linger, and I like to see. When I'm watching a movie, I don't feel it's always necessary to see someone as they're talking. Sometimes it's good to linger on someone as they're hearing the response, and then cut back.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'm not a big fan of the cut.
I think this is something, even when we went to high school for acting, obviously, but there was a point I remember, maybe between sophomore and junior year, where I started becoming more interested in watching the scene partner who wasn't speaking.
Yeah.
Because that's how I can tell that the scene is working on both of you.
I don't know if you ever heard this from Miss Faison, but Zach, did Miss Faison say at one point that is the hard part in a conversation, being the one who's listening? That listening is actually it takes more not effort, but more, you expend a lot to listen convincingly, right?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like something.
I remember that so well.
That sounds like I mean that easily could have been something Faison said. To be able to actually actively listen to someone without feeling like you need to make a lot of facial expressions or do much. I mean, that's super effective, and I think Kristen Stewart does that really effectively. You can just see in her eyes this pain and despair, but it's super lived in. It doesn't feel really forced. That's one of the things I think she hits with this movie.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of her strongest moments are those silent moments of reflection or torment. There's that beautiful shot where she's huddled over in her old home, and the camera pulls out, and she's been crying. And this is before she goes to the steps and pulls the pearl necklace off. But there's just a lot of, and then of course there's that little montage toward the end of this that kind of mirrors the music video that Larraín puts in Emma, where it's just movement, and she's running and she's dancing down the halls,
jumping on the squares.
Playing, floor is lava type of thing is what I would call it. Yeah, you're in a supermarket, you jump on the tiles.
I think on top of him being a director, I think he's a choreographer when it comes to blocking all of his.
I wish I need to find a GIF of that shot just so that I can watch it over and over. But she's in that long dress, and it's during that dancing segment. And
It's in the trailer, I think.
She does a low reach.
Yes.
And that shot for
Beautiful.
some reason is just like visual poetry to me.
And then
It's
there's
so gorgeous.
there's that moment where she's standing in the room and her younger self is dancing ballet around her.
Yes.
Just a lot of beautiful visual poetry in this that I think the film deserves to be watched for at least that.
Yeah.
So I think that's all my notes. Does anyone else have anything else to say in closing before we rate it? Yeah.
My hat's off to Kristen.
So who Zach, you want to rate it first?
I'm gonna. Oh God, you know what?
Let me ask you this.
You get in.
Let me ask you, listen, and you don't have to feel pressure to say yes. I'm just curious in talk, because sometimes, I've come in pretty hot about movies in the past, and I've been like, I hate this, and then I talk about it.
My heart with Repo Man. I'll never get over that. It's okay. It's okay.
I've come in hot, and I'd be like, I hate this, and then through talking about it, I start to like it more. That's what happened with Holy Mountain. Yeah. I was ready to tear that movie a new one, and then I was like, I guess, but like, So I'm wondering how if this conversation has changed any of the way that you look at the film. And if not, then whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what's so funny about it is, as I described it, I was, talking to other people about it. Like, I'm shitting on it, but then I'm also like, and of course, I know that they're trying to convey this and this. And I'm like, I mean, that's pretty good, actually. So I'm like, I'm talking myself into the fact that I know it's better than I gave it credit for. Jesus. And this definitely, it's like, I appreciate all of it. I think at the end of the day, I was just expecting a different movie.
Sure.
So that's probably where a lot of my gripe comes from. And the performance. But of course, all this talk is also, it makes you readjust. It makes you look out this window that I'm staring out of right now and makes you think. So let me give it a cool. No, I'm not going to go too far. I'm going to say 2.5 pearl necklaces out of 5.
All right.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna keep it there.
I'll be the highest, man. I don't care about being like a hard to impress critic. Like sometimes I feel bad for giving stuff like perfect ratings, and then it's like, fuck it. Like I love movies. Like, sometimes something really works, and I don't want to change anything about it. I wouldn't change anything about this movie. Like for me, it's a 5 out of 5. That's what I gave it on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
69.
I mean, there's no mathematical equation to like film critiquing, so
we just make funny ratings.
Unfortunately, that is what we do here on the show.
Wes said something that I think about all the time. Was it the Holy Mountain episode? He was like, film criticism for a lot of people is adding and subtracting points on the board. And really, when a movie works for you and it speaks to you, the whole like. The nitpicking stuff, the cinema sins kind of way of doing it. Like I just don't really care about it, and I think being reductive about something like this that's kind of revolutionary in the way that we've never seen the Royals portrayed like this in a piece of mass media that like was in theaters and is critically acclaimed and like is treating the Royals like the bastards they are. That's kind of revolutionary in a way. And the performance is so great. It's visually so great. The pacing is fantastic, and the way it pulls the rug out in a way where you're not heartbroken at the end. You're maybe crying tears of joy. Like, hey, this person whose whole legacy is wrapped up in mystique and misery. She had these moments with her kids where they're just eating fast food, sitting on a park bench.
Yeah.
So 5, I love it. It's 5 out of 5. One of my favorite movies of the year. I think I had it at like 5 or 4.
You did?
Top 10 movies.
Wow.
To 10 was at number 1.
Marissa,
you both know that.
Your closing thoughts?
Yeah. I went into it. I wasn't really that jazzed to see it, but I definitely would give it like a solid 4 out of 5 for me. I mean, there's definitely some aspects, as I mentioned, like some of the acting qualities that maybe Zach would also agree with. But yeah, it was pretty good, and I love Pablo Larraín, so 4 out of 5.
I think for me, my complaints or concerns are minimal. Some of the stuff, like I said, and we talked through, I was concerned about how exactly it was portraying some of her disturbances and whether it was sensational or not. But I think that if I had seen this in 2021, it easily would have made my top 10.
Yeah.
Just on the aesthetic alone. I'm going to go ahead. The only thing that was kind of weird, I get why they did it, but I was kind of jarred by like The film is such a fable that when there's suddenly a period accurate song being played with like Levi's jackets and KFC, I was like, we are in a different like I was in, but I guess that's part of it. Like she's out, she's in the real world. You know, the royals are trapped in
that horror movie where they're the gang
haven't seen it yet.
The women who are they're like rock climbers and they get stuck in the sky.
Yeah, I never got.
And
to
at the end, she crawls out of the cave. And she's free and she's driving on the. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, or even like Jesse Pinkman driving away from the redneck camp at the end of Breaking Bad.
Yes,
you know, it's that freedom of being in the car and just gunning it, right? But so that was a little off-putting, but I get why they did it. I'm going to go ahead and give it 3.5 stolen pies from the pantry out of 5.
Good shit.
It's all right, Zach. Wes isn't here, so you can be the hater.
I gotta say, I love all of you, and that was a great like review segment for that. I think we all made great points, and we all that was great.
Yeah,
I
liked it. This was great.
This was very.
This
good.
was great.
Yeah.
It was very good.
We're gonna see if we can recapture it when we come back to talk about Emma.
And they're off. Oh,
Yeah.
And they're off.
We are off.
The moment passed as well.
Welcome back for our final review of today's episode. Once again, we are talking about Emma, also directed by Pablo Larraín from 2019. Larraín. Written by Larraín. Written by Guillermo Calderón and Alejandro Moreno. Cinematography by Sergio Armstrong. Edited once again by Sebastián Sepúlveda. And
so it was his team again, basically.
And music by Nicholas Jar. So not Johnny Greenwood on this one. Oh, I forgot to. I'll just say this now. The score was really great in Spencer. I love the jazz touches.
Incredible.
It felt very Spike Lee in a way.
Yeah.
Which is also part of why it reminded me of Malcolm X, which kind of has like that same.
You know what's insane?
Vibe where it's
My
like,
mom, so unexpected. She said this sounds like Radiohead, and I didn't even tell her. I didn't even tell her. She was like, "This sounds like Radiohead."
Mom, you're right.
So
You're right.
I'm so proud of her.
But yeah, the point that I forgot to make in Spencer, and then I'm done talking about it, I promise, is that the sort of the foreshadowing of this tragedy that's going to happen to this figure. Malcolm X is more heavy-handed with it because they choose to show the death, but it reminded me of that as well. So yeah, the score, great job, Johnny Greenwood. But moving on to Emma. This is a film that follows Emma, who is a dancer working with her husband, Gaston, played by Gael Garcia Bernal. Fantastic actor, love this dude. And he is a folklore dance. He's a folklore dance choreographer, and he has an entire troupe. And it's mostly women, but there's a few guys in it actually. But the characters.
It's a modern dance troupe.
And there is a quiet resentment amongst the troupe.
Yes.
Because he's teaching and I don't know anything about like the dance world. Certainly not in that of Colombia, but he's teaching an antiquated form of dance that these newer dancers want.
Are they in Colombia or are they in Chile?
Chile, I think.
Really?
They're in Chile.
Chile.
Yeah, but he does mention that his son.
No. I totally would like do the same thing.
No, but his son is. He mentions that their adopted son is Colombian. At one point, and so the story it basically is resentment between this couple who adopted a son, Polo, I think is his name.
Polo, yeah.
And then they gave him back, and it's this resentment between Emma and Gaston because she wants a natural child, and she wants to be a mother, and she feels like that's been withheld from her by Gaston. Yeah. So the film, that's kind of the narrative thrust.
And there's a small age gap. I think it's like 12
years. That's why
years.
She calls him a human condom.
Yeah.
There's a small age gap between them. It's like 12.
Yes. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, so that's the narrative kind of thrust of the movie, and then it's also about her trying to manipulate her way around getting her son back, which I will admit, embarrassingly, took me to the end of the movie to find out that was what she was doing, and we'll get to it.
That's not embarrassing at all.
I love movies where all you need to do is tell someone like the basic synopsis of it, and they go, "That's insane! Like I'm interested."
Yeah.
Because like I pitched this to a friend of mine, and I was like, "It's about these this I guess sexually liberated dancer who loses her adoptive son, and for the rest of the film is fucking and manipulating her way into ingratiating herself with his new parents and finding a way back into his life.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you can't hate a plot that insane, right?
Yeah, no, that's...
You would have to be boring to hate a plot that just fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's bonkers. And I've never really watched... I mean, looking at the Letterboxd reviews, there were a lot of people that said it was like... that there were different movies that it reminded them of course, but it still feels very unique.
My favorite thing about reviewing movies is comparing it to
other movies.
Yeah.
That's how I know that it's different. Yeah. But like last time, we'll go around in a circle. We'll start with you, Marissa. Did you see this in 2019? Did you just watch it?
I saw it. I think 2020 is when I saw it. I went on like a huge movie binge, where I saw like every movie made. About like
no, I'm lying. I saw it with Wes like 2 months ago at the IFC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I rewatched it a night ago because I just wanted to make sure I caught everything like I did the first time, because I think the first time I was just like, oh, there's like a lot of modern dance. It's a lot. It's very there's a sun in the background. It's blazing. I'm not really sure what's going on, but yeah, it's a great film. I think it shows a lot of like what we as humans are experiencing now with these like changing family dynamics. You know, like 50 to like 70 years ago, it was the man worked and the woman had the child, and that's how it was. But now we're so much more open to adoption. We're so much more open to like very differing family dynamics, and it's not always like the woman takes care of the child. And I think that this movie really helpfully explores that.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Zach?
Yeah, I like
Caught you in the middle of the yawn there. My bad, bro.
No, please. I love starting sentences caught off guard. Thank you. Let me do it more often. Yes, it was great. It was a great movie. Yeah, so I was going to watch it with my mom. I'm really, really glad I didn't. And that's my full Letterboxd review, so...
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's
but
that.
I think it's great. I think the performances are really strong. Like, it's super compelling to just watch, like, how toxic Emma and Gaston are to each other.
Yeah.
Just, like just shitting on each other back and forth. I think the performances are great. I think it's beautiful. The plot is really cool. I figured out what she was doing pretty quickly, and I just thought it was, like, so diabolical. And the way that her friends, like, aid her, like, you know what I mean? Like, just, like, this unit. They're so cool. So, yes, very, very good. Very great. Love it. Love it to death.
Dan? How'd you feel?
I love, and I wish we could see more of this in movies, just the like a sexually liberated kind of commune of dancers. You know, I think that's such a compelling like cast of characters to have. I know a lot of people hate the movie climax, but one of the things I think people kind of... Well, actually, maybe not. Maybe people hate the characters in Climax, but I love the characters in Climax. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen
Really?
Climax.
It's fucking awesome. I think it's awesome.
I know,
Some
Wes
people on this
doesn't like
show
it.
don't like it. I do. I just like a group of people who are all so kind of free with each other and just fuck and are friends and like that's
There's something about like
kind of
artists
existence.
and just like this like interconnection.
Exactly. Artists, like a big community of artists who all know each other and are all sleeping with each other and nothing is held back. Like they're very outward with their displays of affection. Like it's
like the Holy Mountain.
Yeah. Well, the real life Holy Mountain, a living community like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's I love just dealing with characters like that. I think all the Emma and all of her friends in this are so interesting. Like they're so like at first you think like she really hates
Gaston.
Garcia. Is that his name?
Gael Garcia.
Bernal Garcia.
Gael Garcia Bernal. Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
GGB.
I thought I had it. He's so great, but like when you think like all these people hate him, and then the next scene like he's having sex with that blue-haired girl and he's hooking up with Emma again, and it's like, okay, well, nothing these people really say has a lot of weight or permanence they can lay into each other, but they're such good friends and they're still also open with each other that, like, you know, as an outsider that's weird. Like, don't I hate this guy? But then like they're fucking him the next scene. And I think it's cool. Like, I think a cast of characters like that is very compelling and engaging, and the way Emma wields her sexuality, like she wields that flamethrower, and how she uses that as a tool to get into people's heads and get what she wants. Like, she's so compelling, and like Zach said, diabolical. Like, I think she's maybe the most compelling character of a movie from 2020?
2019.
2019. What else came out?
But, like, it was more
doesn't matter.
popularized in 2020.
All I'm saying is, like, both times I've watched this movie, I'm just so taken by her as a character. And the supporting cast and the way these people are with each other.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting.
She's, yeah, man, this movie was a trip. I feel like she's not very likable.
Really?
I think like she like
She's
her
standoffish.
manipulation. It's not like her personality isn't likable.
Yeah.
Rather, what she's doing, her goal is not ultimately. I mean, she's
It's a little fucked up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, yeah,
She's
it's like
kinda
you gave him
bad at the
back.
same
Like,
time.
no take backs.
Yeah.
Do
She's
you
making.
think it's a little badass?
Yeah, kind
A
of.
little badass, right?
It's I don't know what wave of feminism this would be, but
Me neither. I'm not sure.
wave. But I mean, there is something very obviously like autonomous about it, and that's cool in terms of like I've never seen a character try to do something like this. I saw one critic on Letterboxd compare it to Old Boy, and I guess I
Really?
kind of understand why. But you know, in terms of the movie overall, it was one of the things where it was like kind of rolling realizations for me as the movie was going on. Like I feel like
It was for me too.
because I was so focused on trying to figure out what the movie was about, I was like not focusing on the plot. So that's why some of that stuff slipped by me. Like even when I was seeing the married couple sitting down with the son, I thought, oh, that's the lawyer meeting with the husband
So creepy,
about
though,
the son.
right?
Yeah, and she's just
Well,
lurking in the back. Yeah.
The ways that the movie hints until that final act, where it's like a twist reveal. It's like Saw.
Yeah.
It's like a big twist reveal at the end. But like when she's about to sleep with that firefighter / bartender who's the new adopted father, right? And she says, "When you find out what I'm doing, you'll be horrified.
You'll be horrified.
You will
tells him, dude.
horrified when you find out what I'm
By the way, and this is a shame.
Imagine how girls, like anyone you're hooking up with,
No.
right? When you find out why I'm hooking up with you, you're going to be fucking scared. It's going to really disturb
Can I tell you something? Can I be honest with y'all? It wouldn't stop me.
You would.
I would. No, dude. I was watching that. I was like, damn. I'd be caught up. I'd be foaming at the mouth. If a woman looked me in my face and said, "You should be terrified of me," I'd be like,
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Yeah, like why not? And that brings up one of the things that one of the cinematographic patterns I noticed in this movie is it seems like we frequently have these meetings. Emma's in a lot of meetings with people.
Yeah.
And there's this pattern that I noticed where the shot will start wide and perpendicular to them. We'll see them in parallel. And then when she switches on the seduction, then we're doing reverse shot, and we cut in on her face. And it happens with the lawyer. It happens with the principal at the school. Yeah.
It's like a tennis match. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
they set the scene and then it's like back.
The
Yeah.
valley. It happens with Homeboy, obviously the firefighter in the bedroom with her. So she's certainly compelling, but I think it's an interesting example of a character who is maybe not maybe not the best person morally,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that the movie is bad. You're watching a movie about a person who's kind of,
The best
not great.
movies are where you're rooting for them, even if they're so bad.
I
Yeah.
was just about to say,
Yeah.
like, I think everybody came to that realization when Breaking Bad got so popular.
Or like even like Succession now,
Yeah,
like these
yeah.
people suck.
But like, do you guys remember that there was a point in Breaking Bad, the height of its popularity, where it got to... Walt does a lot of fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe it was poisoning Brock is when it finally sent people over, but there was a point where no one found him to be like
Impeachable.
A cool guy.
someone
nice
worthy
guy.
of redemption. Like everyone wanted to see Walt burn, right?
Oh, I see
At
what
a
you
certain
mean.
point
After a
in Breaking
point, yes,
Bad.
yes,
But
yes.
he is so compelling.
Yeah.
A character just... I don't know. It varies from case to case, obviously, but I really love, like you said, characters who you kind of fucking hate.
Yeah.
You can't look away from them.
Yeah.
It's like seeing like a wreck somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You're engaged. You want to see what happened.
Yeah.
Did someone die?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good thing.
No,
obviously,
but it's a
holding my
spectacle.
attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really engaging.
I think maybe to start moving into the conversation further, to talk thematically about this movie, because one of the things again, like I looked up some interviews and stuff. So Lorraine was very interested in commenting on intergenerational relationships.
Sure.
The last of the 20th of those born in the 20th century.
Yeah.
And the first of those born in the 21st, right? And like the so that's kind of like, Gaston's whole thing about reggaeton and how it's like it's a culture of violence. He gives that great monologue.
Yeah.
It's a culture of violence. It's prison music. They play it so
she tears him apart.
She does, and it's great.
Your fave with the
yeah, she's one of them. She's Thick Bangs is good looking, but there was also another brunette in that wide shot where they're all looking at the bartender. All the way on the right. I mean, if we're simping, we're going to simp.
This movie's full of sexy people.
It's full of good-looking folks.
But I want to say one thing about her. That scene where she tears into him. She says, I wrote down the quote. Hold on. I can find it very quickly.
Yeah.
It's in my notes. She says, you're a tourist here. A typical cruise
Oh, that
tourist
one. That's
who
before.
takes photos and thinks they know the history of the port. Go out on the street. You have this idea of an imaginary street that existed 100 years ago. You play beautiful music in the port so it looks like Paris. It was never like that.
Yeah.
That's why everything has to be destroyed. Other music has to be danced, something that scares a tourist like you.
Yeah.
I love this whole idea of, like, let's say, in quotations, in air quotes, I mean, a tenured artist who is just kind of creating in the framework that they're most comfortable with. I mean, to apply that to film, it's a common criticism of Tarantino, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But someone who doesn't want to step out of their comfort zone. I have been doing this my whole career. This is what I know. As an artist, I don't think I need to engage in other forms. They don't interest me. This is what I know. That is the mark of someone who's limited.
Yeah. Yeah.
And seeing someone tear into them over being so close-minded,
myopic.
Exactly. It's something that's new and engaging. I think of boomers and their whole this isn't real music argument.
Yeah.
Our music was played with instruments.
But they're like, rap music is bad, and I'm it's like gangster music, and it's like.
But there's
tear into someone who thinks like that.
But there's a couple things wrapped up in it, because number one, so he gives this monologue about how he hates reggaeton and how he feels like it's mindless music.
Yeah.
But the thing that's so interesting about, first of all, Gaston as a character is that he's like this, 45-year-old man with this faded haircut that he is definitely too old to be rocking. Which I think is part of the whole thing, right? He's trying to be a little hip, but
his jeans are too tight.
Yeah, he's got
He's
this.
one of those teachers who turns the chair backwards and sits on it with the legs going out.
Yeah,
it's like that SNL.
Which is not to say, I mean, Gael Garcia is still a very good-looking man, like, and so whatever. But like, I feel like that was intentional. Like you're putting this guy in this faded haircut, and he's still ragging on reggaeton. Also.
Yeah, he's acting like a complete boomer. But
and not to mention that, like, reggaeton itself comes much more from Caribbean Spanish cultures, right? Where, the folklore that Gaston was teaching is probably more from, like, actual Spain. The European roots, right? So there's this colonization that's being tackled at the same time. And obviously Chile is one of those Latin American countries, like a lot in South America, that has mixed ethnicity. So, Emma herself is white, but some of the people in her troupe are more Taino or whatever. Like there's a mixture of things. And I think that was one of the things that grabbed me about the movie, is this, even outside of, and then you have the son in a way as a metaphor for this. Emma's sister calls him a bastard, and reggaeton is looked at as this, like, bastardized music, right? That's how Gaston looks at it. It's like, it's not real music. It's just a portmanteau. It's a bunch of different styles put together into something that sounds cool.
It's interesting that he would say that to a bunch of, like you said, first generation 21st century,
right. People that he relies on to sell his art.
I know.
Everyone our age has grown up and heard the "this isn't real music" argument.
Yeah.
Someone older than them who's put down the things that they're into. Whether
it's always like, back in my day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whoever it may be. So it was very interesting that he represents that last wave. Of those kind of guys, and they're the new blood, and he's saying it to them, and they're just tearing them apart for it.
Lots of bisexual lighting in this movie.
Yes.
Neon.
Yeah.
Which obviously was intentional.
I saw a lot of pink and green. They say on the cinematographer spectrum, the one that's used all the time, you see it a lot in Joker. Another way that movie's lazy is the blue and the orange. You know what I'm talking about? The high contrast lighting. It's every cinematographer's toolkit. And one that kind of captures the same effect, but is moodier, closer to bisexual lighting, that you see less, is the pink and green. And this movie has a lot of that.
It does, and a lot of purple and a lot. Yeah.
Establishing shot, green on one side, pink on
yes,
the other.
And
it captures the same high contrast thing. You just see it way less often.
Yeah,
it's very unique looking.
Yeah, it's. Do y'all know if this was shot on 16 millimeters?
No, I don't believe
it's digital.
So.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought
it looked very.
Yeah,
very clean movie.
But it's still. I mean, the colors in this movie are still great. There's that scene where they are in the where they go to the party.
Oh my God.
The outfits are great, but when they go to the party and they find the dead cat in the freezer, and then they're having that conversation in the back room, and she's sitting against that purple wall.
That's so good.
Polo was a little psychopath, wasn't he? He was freezing cats. He was burning people's faces.
Yeah. Unclear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have judged, that couple for giving him back if he was, if he was doing those things. I think I would have been like, okay, I get it.
How can you give up a kid, though?
I don't know.
Well, one of the things I was unclear about is who decided to give him back, because
I don't think either of them really wanted to, considering how much they guilt each other and they use his last words and weaponize them against one another.
Yeah. Mama, don't leave me.
That scene where Gaston is quoting his final words to her.
Right.
So,
because she's making fun of his impotence or whatever, and then he just starts being like...
And they weaponize his relationship with both of them. One of the first conversations you hear about Polo, Gaston is bringing up how she breastfed him one time, right? She put her nipple in his mouth, and he said, how can you do that with the child? And she's like, he's my fucking son. Yeah. It's a great quote. My son can suck any part of my body he wants. He's my son.
Yeah.
And it's like, to him, this was like an adoptive thing to appease Emma, right? But in Emma's mind, it's like, no, this is my son. Yeah. And she will stop at nothing to get him back. But to Gaston, it's more of a weaponizing. It's more of a weapon.
Yeah.
His memory and things.
Yeah.
Did,
And in a way, it's also like he's got a level of envy about their intimacy,
their relationship,
right? The fact that she was so close to little Polo.
He says it's the reason they stopped having sex,
right?
So
because
he is so insecure.
Yeah, he is. And I guess I'm wondering, do y'all ever at any point in the film? Because I think the movie wants Emma to be the most empathetic, even if she's going about it the wrong way. But did y'all ever feel any level of empathy for Gaston? It's fine.
Not really.
No?
But I'm a woman, so I'm by nature on her side.
What happened to the relationship is tragic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they still do seem to have a lot of love for one another, but you always gotta empathize with someone who's had their heart broken. I mean, he's coping with it in the worst way possible. He's just putting her down and putting down her friends and her interests.
I don't think we once see him painted in a good light. Maybe at the beginning when he bows,
maybe at the very, very end, which I want to talk about.
I feel more like their relationship has peaks and valleys, because there's parts where after they've had the most horrible fight, they're kissing and holding each other again.
Yeah.
So there's moments of tenderness even after they've portrayed him as a very insecure little man.
Yeah. Speaking and emphasis on little, because there are certain shots. There's that one shot where they're coming up the stairs into their apartment, and I'm like, how tall is guy? I mean, on the internet says he's 5'7", but he looks so small and he has such a big head.
They say everyone adds 2 inches.
Yeah, maybe.
True.
Zach,
Kevin Hart is 5'2". It's proven. If you look him up, it says he's 5'6".
Oh,
he is actually. He's 5'5".
I believe that.
He is.
He put 4
Kevin Hart.
inches.
Oh,
he added 4 inches to his body.
I'm 5'2".
That's bold as shit.
He is 5'2", and several sources have proven it. And on the Google height search, it says 5'6".
Even The Rock isn't as tall as he's listed. The internet says 6'5", but allegedly he's not exactly. Which is if you're already 6 feet, why even?
Yeah, why do you need?
If you're 6 feet and you look like that, why do you need to lie?
Guy in Euphoria is 6'5".
Yes.
Jacob Elordi?
That dude is ridiculous.
He would not fit on a plane. large. And the Maddie, Alexa Demi, we're going to cut this. She's 5'2".
Yeah,
so
she's really small.
More than a fucking. He's a.
It's the fucking kissing booth with Joey King. I was like, this is horrible. I can't.
Yeah, weird. But Zach, how about you? Did you ever feel any level of sympathy for Gaston, or did you just think he was a prick?
Yeah, I didn't really like him because I think the first conversation they have about the kid, like, I know that she fucks him, like, later on, like, with her words, you know, of course, physically.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't have sex before you're married. I just want to make that clear to everybody on the show.
Of course.
But
Never.
But, you know, but like, you know, the first conversation that they have, like, he really manipulates her because he puts it on her. Like, when they're in the bed, he's like, yeah, this is all your fault. And she's like, well, it was both of us. Like, we both were bad. And he was like, no, it's really your fault. And then she puts it on him, and he's like, nah, it was both of us.
It was both of us,
like,
yeah.
It's just so fun. It's, like, funny, but it's fucked.
I think it's crazy how two people can still, like, have that form of intimacy. I mean, this whole, like, dancer, the commune that they're living in the first place is so sexual, but they really seem to have a convincing love-hate. Like, it seems pretty dynamic.
Almost like bipolar, right? Yeah. I mean, like you said, like the way that we'll move from scene to scene, and it's as if the argument that they just had didn't even happen.
But I always feel like there is a sexual tension between them, even when they're saying horribly manipulative things to each other.
But that's the reality of a lot of relationships,
especially with that age gap.
Yeah,
especially with that age gap. I mean, if he's her director, her choreographer, he brought her into the process. There already is that power imbalance, but there's a need to impress him while there's also a need to rebel against him simultaneously. And then for him, there's a need to subjugate and control because you're my dancer, so you should be doing what I'm saying. And and it leaks into the actual relationship. I mean, obviously they're both clearly adults, but 12 years is still crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not insane, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
How old is she supposed to be?
I assume in her late 20s.
Late 20s, that's what I was about to say.
Someone said,
But maybe 30.
holy shit, James Gunn is dating someone like 10 years younger than him. And I looked it up and it's like, dude, this girlfriend's 35.
Yeah.
35, who cares?
At 35, you're
that's hardly a child.
capable of making your own decisions.
Leonardo DiCaprio dates.
Not like Zach Braff and Florence Pugh.
Oh my god.
Dear God, God.
But just a note on dancers. This is more of a general thing about me, but I have said for a while that like I respect dancers, I think, more than any other kind of artist.
Yeah.
Because I think that what they do, it requires so much bravery. Yeah. When people ask me, like, you ever get nervous about acting? And I'm like, if I'm nervous, then I'm not acting. Yeah. Because if I'm nervous, I'm not the character yet. You know what I mean? There's of course you want to do well, but like, I'm sure you guys, if you have acting experience, you can relate. It's like you want to get to a point where you are not thinking about yourself, you're just the character, right? So it's like, and in a way you can hide behind that, right? Even singing, you get a little closer because it's your voice and your voice is an instrument, but when you're dancing, there's no words, it's just your body, it's just raw expression, and anything can go wrong. You can injure yourself, or you can whatever. Like it's athletic in that way, like running, or it's like I just have to push myself to the limit, and I have to hit this exact mark, and if I don't, I'm not going to be satisfied with myself. Yeah. And obviously that goes for the very austere environment of like ballet and traditional dance, but it also can go for hip hop or modern. If it's something that you really want to do, you're going to have that level of intensity about how you do it. And so I just really think that like dancers are so cool to investigate as a storytelling mode.
So actually a little bit of background on me. I studied musical theater for like 2 years, and then I decided to switch to film. But I did study dance for 15 years, mostly ballet. So I do understand to a degree the like execution and like the discipline that it really, really takes to be a dancer. Like you just like your body is your instrument, just as like an actor is and the singer is, but it's so much more because you're putting your body through so much like strength and like training. It's really, really hard, and I think that this movie just depicts that so well. And something a little other thing about me is that Marymount, where I go to school, they have I'm pretty sure I'm right, the top modern dance program in the country. So everyone that goes there is like a modern dancer, and they are training from 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m. every day. And
I'm sure just casually when you see them, they're acting like the dancers in this movie.
Yeah, casually, it looks like little spins, like this arm movement.
It's a well-known thing within like LaGuardia graduates that the loudest friend groups were dance majors.
Yeah.
They were all like you would think it was like,
and they were the scariest.
Social economy.
but they were always like rolling in these tight knit groups, and you would think like maybe the vocal majors or the drama majors would always, but no, it was the dance majors all the time, like in the lunchroom, just like tearing it up, and they just I believe that there's this I guess I mean every major had its own dynamics, and dance was one of the smallest. It wasn't the smallest, that was tech, but dance was one of the most tight knit, and it was one of the most demanding. So obviously there's like a level of camaraderie that you build when you're seeing people perform and have that vulnerability.
Yeah, it's like that thing that people say, like everybody starts out in ballet when they're a kid, but only one person can be a prima ballerina.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, I was really interested in that in that dynamic. And one of the things that I thought was cool that I looked up regarding Larraín's method here is that he said some scenes were written on the night of shooting. Wow. And the actors seldom had a lot of advance notice about what they were going to be doing. Larraín said that he's like it's like in life, none of us knows what's going to happen an hour from now, right? So I wanted to put. He said sometimes actors, they want to control the character, and I didn't want that. So I would give them the script almost as late as possible, so that they would be finding it, and we would be collaboratively creating it as the filming went on.
I guess some people could, on its face, interpret that as lazy, but think. How often in life is a situation completely under your control?
Almost never.
How often
Yeah.
do you have full control of what's going on?
I'm of the school of thought that control is a myth. The only thing you can control is how you react to stuff.
As an actor, I'm sure Cassavetes would do stuff like that, and I'm sure that would piss off and has historically pissed off a lot of actors. But as a filmmaker, like you explaining it, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of sense that you would expect an actor to be grappling in real time just as a character would. And
this is, and I'm interested to know what you think about that too, Zach, that method. But this reminds me of even with Wong Kar-wai, when I had my little marathon of his stuff, when he was shooting Chungking Express and that stuff, it was fly by night. I mean, he shot that movie in the middle of editing another movie that he hated. So it was just, let me get a camera, let me go out on the street with some actors I like, and let's have a rough skeleton, and let's make this thing happen. Because I can't look at this editing bay for a second longer.
I name-dropped Cassavetes. Have you seen A Woman Under the Influence?
I haven't, no.
Or he has a few...
But I've heard his name.
...great movies that do this. Faces, The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, A Woman Under the Influence. He famously would pay for a location for just under an hour, rush a crew in there, have the bones of a script. Mm-hmm. So basically little notes on a pad, okay, you need to go here, you need to go here, and we're gonna, the crew, we're gonna be having some drinks, we're at a bar, hey, why not? And people were just okay, this guy doesn't give a shit. Why is he even working in the field? But his movies have such a run and gun quality that is undoubtedly, singular, very engaging, and those actors are just kind of what's her name from A Woman Under the Influence? Gina Rowlands.
Yes.
Gina Rowlands. She is so just freewheeling through that movie, and it's one of the most compelling performances I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And she just had bones to work with. There was not a fully written script.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? And we talk about this from the film perspective, right? That you go to film school for 4 years and you learn all these rules, and then you get out of film school and you're I kind of don't want to follow any of these. But when it comes to Zach, you went to NYU for acting. I'm curious, and that's on top of obviously us both going to LaGuardia. How much of the technique and everything, do you feel like you could do a film where the script was bare bones and it was mostly here's your objective in the scene, improv your way through it?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that's a lot of fun. And I think I've always one of my strengths has been to take a note really quickly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of fun to just be able to find it. There's a rawness to getting a direction and being go, do it now. And it's completely different from what you anticipated. You just weren't prepared for it. So you get to find a lot of really cool stuff because, of course, a lot of the stiffest, worst acting can come from when you just have one set version of a scene or a monologue in your head, and then you execute it because it just feels very rehearsed. So I think it's a really cool style. I know that, of course, for some actors, that just doesn't
would
work
freak.
because I know, I went to Stella Adler, and
Oh wow.
that was like, yeah, and so it was super like, the technique was very militant. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about script analysis. It's about actioning. Like, what are you doing on this line? It's not about what you're feeling. The feeling comes out of the action.
It's not Stanislavski.
So, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that technique doesn't super work for, like, improv bare bones. But for me, I think that's a lot of fun. Because you can just, like, find things that you weren't, preparing for. And I think... not to bring it back to Succession, but I know that like a lot of the times when they shoot scenes, it can, they're shooting rehearsal shots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're the cameraman is finding moments as the actors are finding them, and that's why a lot of that show just feels super specific and raw because it's all coming just in the spur of the moment.
I love a rawness.
Yeah.
I love a raw movie.
Yeah, and I think it maybe it doesn't apply to every type of movie, right? Like you can't shoot like you couldn't do Spencer. Like
I was
this.
just about to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You couldn't do Spencer like this. But if you're doing a movie that's kind of like Emma is like almost a hangout movie, like and it's just you're following a group of people who are living life.
Yeah.
Like that is exactly the time to be like, here's your character, here's what your character wants out of the scene. Make it happen,
It's not so much about who the person is; it's like the relatability of them as a like.
If you talk over each other, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
When it comes to like directors who precision is everything to them, like how Parasite's storyboards were published as its own graphic novel.
Yes.
That's how precise that movie is.
Yes.
It was like for like T for T, like just
and when
planned
you're
out.
watching that movie, that precision is there.
It's clearly executed.
Very tight, very precise. And that's one of the main takeaways from watching that movie. That's why you would watch something like a Fincher or a director who's known for precision. But then you watch a Wong Kar-wai or a Cassavetes for that freewheeling fucking 3 a.m. trip to McDonald's vibe.
It's like that. It's just like a hippie movie.
It's a little weird, or like the bathroom at like a concert venue.
Yeah, like I was gonna say this earlier. It's like the artsy film or like the like film school film, whereas like Spencer's like your graduated like classic cinema.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a testament to Lorraine's ability that he can capture such opposite sides of the spectrum from movie to movie. Literally.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, I think I'm ready to rate it unless anyone else has final thoughts. Now, of course, we have particular ratings for this segment of the show. This is a little bit different from our usual Morgue picks because it's more recent and it's, we're doing more of like a double director look. Should we Morgue rate it or should we just do another meme rating?
Well, I don't really care.
Yeah. let's do Morgue ratings then.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, so here's what those are. I have them here for you. You can look at that, and I won't make you go first. Zach, how would you rate this, my friend? If it was 5 years from now, you were looking back at Emma.
You know what? It was 2019. It was pre-pandemic, so it literally was a decade for me. How you guys feel about it? But it was another lifetime. Like I don't remember the world that we used to live in. So I'm gonna give it a Reanimate. I thought it was great. I mean, I think the performances are all there. I think the Emma actress does a really great job of just like stoically like. It's the act of listening.
Always has the power. It's crazy.
I could just see it in her eyes.
Rewatching this, it's like, when does she not have the power? She always has it. She's always kind of in control. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's powerful, like sometimes you're like she's dangerous, but it's also like you can see like the motivation, like the sun, what I mean? Like
I think she's a badass.
So I'm gonna give it a Reanimate. Go watch it. It's great.
Yeah, I know, guys. I love movies. I know. I love
You're
movies.
just a movie lover.
I love fucking movies. Listen, it's a hot Reanimate to a cool Immortal. I'll be recommending it for a long time. It's very singular. I mean, that's what's really important to me. I think Spencer is singular for its own reasons.
Yeah.
This is singular for very different reasons. I mean,
I have yet to see a movie with you that you're not like, this is my favorite movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
I hate a lot of movies. I hate a lot of movies.
You're always like, I love it.
We bring stuff on the show that I find a lot to love with. And I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. just for that plot is so crazy. Those performances, that lighting, like you said, the fits.
Yeah.
I'll watch this again just to see everyone's fucking cool outfits.
Drip.
Her acid wash, like oversized jean jacket with that like tracksuit underneath. That's like raspberry and cream. She's so fucking
Dancers
cool.
always have like the best outfits.
Dancers are fucking dripped out. Yeah, for sure.
Like at my school, I swear to God,
great.
like they are just dripped out.
So yeah, I mean, I gave this movie 5 stars on Letterboxd too. I really like it.
Got it.
No, nice.
I like I said, I saw this in 2019, and I saw it in 2020, but I don't think it got the attention that it deserved because we were all just very engulfed in something else. So yeah, I would say Reanimate it.
Nice, nicely done. I'm gonna put a stamp on that Reanimation. I think
great.
I think this is it is very unique, and it's, if you were going to introduce someone to Lorraine, I feel like that this would be a great movie to do it because it's not about someone else's life.
Right.
He's able to fully do his own thing.
It's like he can do like films where he just comes up with something on his own, and then he can do these crazy biopics too.
And what's weird about it is that like it almost feels like the first 10 minutes of this movie where it's like everything that's happened in their life intercut with that dance number. That feels like it's like a proof of concept for what the rest of the movie would be.
Exactly.
That almost feels like it's a short film that you could package by itself and you would have like an understanding and a resolution. And then he's like, okay, here's the rest of the movie now. And I think like one of the things I'm really grateful about this show, doing this show with y'all week to week, or roughly week to week, is that I'm constantly challenging my own expectations and my own comfort level with film, right? Like the things that, recognizing that my expectation for a movie obviously doesn't have to be what the movie is, right?
Sure.
And that like that
sometimes it's nice to be subverted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that even everything that we've learned about structure, while we can use that to analyze a film, it doesn't mean that has to be the rubric by which we grade it at all. So and I think you do give a lot of stuff immortal and whatever, but it's nice to have a movie that a movie podcast that isn't always ragging on.
You're a cheerleader.
Time is fleeting. I mean, shit, we're moment to moment here.
There was no script for this podcast. We were flying by the seat of our pants.
Freewheeling.
But I think that'll do it for this episode. I had a really great time. Marissa, thanks for coming on. Do you want to plug your Instagram or anything you're doing? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Thank you for having me. I'm not doing anything right now. I'm just working. I work in a production studio.
What do you do on film sets? What are you most comfortable
right now? I'm doing I'm a stage manager and I do booking. So I'm just on every shoot that comes into our stages. Got it.
Well, keep Marissa in mind if you need someone to create a schedule for you, shoot a script board.
Absolutely.
She's the one to do it.
Everyone here is the shit. I love all you guys.
Please feel free to come back anytime. In fact, we the four of us have talked about doing like a Media Morgue takeover where the four of us step back and we find a replacement. I feel like you would be a great replacement for Dan, and like Zach could find somebody, Wes could find somebody, I could find somebody, and just let y'all take over for a few episodes.
It's like when didn't like Jennifer Lawrence take over Fallon for a week or something?
They do like celebrity. Brie Larson did really Kimmel. Cool. That type of stuff.
And like Wendy Williams has someone running her show.
Jesus.
So so definitely come back anytime. Thank y'all so much for listening. Feel free to rate and review the show wherever you get it. It helps us out a lot. Just give us 5 stars because
you guys.
You like us. Follow us across socials.
Be easy to please. 5 stars across the board, please.
Be that stand-up Letterboxd reviewer.
Follow the show across socials at TMM Pod, and also keep up with our Black History Month challenge. We're posting recommendations for all of February about films that are written, directed, or led by Black people. So check that out on Instagram and Twitter. We'll be updating every day. In fact, I have to post a recommendation tonight when we get off. But until next time, we'll figure out what we're doing. I think we've thrown around a few ideas. Maybe Texas, maybe Matrix.
Texas.
Maybe we'll do a commentary.
It'll be fun.
Since it's on Netflix, it'll be easy to find.
Yeah.
But until then, Wayward Movie Watchers, keep watching movies.
See ya!
Go dance a little bit.
Bye.